So welcome to this national webinar on changing approaches to community engagement in museums and a contextual study of the anthropology collection of the National Museum, organized by the IQSC and LCB College Teachers Unit, Assam College Teachers Association, in association with the National Museum, New Delhi, in collaboration with Assam College Librarians Association. And I am Dr. Virendra Pal, the coordinator of ICTCL of Assam College Librarians Association, and also the librarian of Kolyabar College. I can welcome you all in this platform. And this program is live on the Facebook also. So I'd like to welcome all the viewers in the Facebook. And now, without wasting much time, I'd like to invite Dr. Diba Barua ma'am to initiate the program and welcome the participants, ma'am, please.
Thank you, Virendra Pal. Very good morning to all esteemed participants. I welcome you all to this very interesting webinar. And it is interesting because we will gain insights into the important role of museums in our culture and the priceless reservoir of artifacts preserved in our museums. So we have with us today experts in this domain. And first of all, I would like to introduce Ms. Abantika Parashar, District Museum Officer, Jorhat, under Government of Assam and India. She had done her post-graduation in museology from the National Museum Institute, New Delhi in the year 2012. Ms. Parashar has a commendable work experience at different work areas, such as the Indira Gandhi National Center for the Arts, New Delhi, followed by stints at BBC Media, New Delhi, then at Restore Heritage, Delhi, then Rashtrapati Bhavan, then the Naga Heritage Museum and Cultural Center in Nagaland. She also has to her credit a number of publications in ISBN and ISSN journals. Today, she is among us to inaugurate this national webinar. Now, may I request Abantika to do the honors by sharing her insights with the participants. Abantika?
Hello, good morning.
Please unmute yourself.
Yes.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. I am Abantika Parashar. And as ma'am has said about me, everything, so I won't go much into that. But in the very beginning, on behalf of everyone, on behalf of Lalit Chandra Bharali College and then Assam College Librarians Association, National Museum, I welcome you all to this national webinar on a very interesting topic, the changing approaches to community engagement in museum, a case study of ethnographic gallery of National Museum, New Delhi. And before going into details in the topic, I would, it's a very happy factor for me that the speaker today, she is a very good friend of mine. She was my college junior in National Museum Institute. And today she is the assistant curator of the ethnographic gallery of the National Museum. And she has experience of curating several national and international exhibitions and also different educational activities on behalf of National Museum. And most importantly, she has received grants from several foreign nations, including Polish Ministry of Culture, Poland, then SOAS University of London, Asia Research Institute, Singapore, and also she was a part of the cultural delegation to China from India. Now, she is an excellent speaker, she is an excellent scholar, and she has done a very good job as the assistant curator of this gallery. And today the topic, it's a very interesting, and I'm sure she is going to give a very thoughtful insight to the issues and topics associated with it. And now, from my point of view, as I go into details about this topic, I would say Northeast India, and especially Assam, it's very rich and it's very unique in terms of ethnographic heritage, both tangible and intangible. And from my point of view, I would prefer to term this place as paradise in terms of, ethnographic studies. I'll just give us very small example. Like in case of Assam, it is said that here the spoken language or the dialect, it's, you know, its form, its type, it changes after every 3 kilometers. Like after every 3 kilometers, there is a slight change or slight variation of language, and along with that comes the changes in food habit or the cuisine culture, the tradition, that local architecture, everything. So from this very simple example, we can, you know, articulate the rich ethnographic heritage, the rich components of this ethnographic lifestyle of people of Assam. And as we all know, this time period, it's a period of crisis. That COVID-19, it has, you know, it has clashed the economy, it has clashed our field, and it's so devastating when we every day we came across news like here somewhere in Africa, somewhere in America, or like India, like, you know, each and every day new museums are closing up. It's closing, and like it's not get revenue, so it can't run. It's very devastating for us. But as museum professional, we can't sit and lament on the topic, but it is our challenge to cope up with new ideas. Because here I think we have to perceive this field not as some government funded trust, or, you know, where we'll get government aid and we'll run on behalf of that, but we have to perceive it as an industry. We have to perceive the visitors as customers, and to, you know, to satisfy the needs of these customers, we have to come up with new ideas, new techniques. And I think that ethnography, because of its variety and richness, can be a very good solution to that. And apart from that, people of Assam, people, they know how we are undergoing through a crisis of identity, culture, and etc. So I think those who are interested in ethnography, those who are interested in this field, I think they should perceive, they should think beyond the four boundaries of, you know, the museum buildings, and they should broaden up their ideas, their perspective to the people, to the people, aiming the society. Then only they can come up with new ideas, new solutions, which can ultimately at the end displayed in the museums. And I'm very much sure that can be a very new perspective, a new museology. And I think today Abhira is going to speak about how the National Museum is planning to, you know, to cope up with this time period, with this situation, and we will have a very good insightful of the entire planning process. And my take on this topic is that, like, in terms of ethnographic gallery or museum, the ratio between that object and the behind the stories is 20 and 80. I'll just give a small example. Like, say there is a Naga shawl on display in a museum, in an ethnographic gallery. So when visitor goes and see that so that particular shawl, that's a cowrie shawl, they will see what they will see. Okay, that's a textile. It has got woolen material inside. It's organic. It has got these many kind of cowries and everything. They can hear like that. But when that is only the 10% knowledge associated with this particular shawl. When they will they will do some practices, they will do some studies, when they will explore the inner associated information with that ethnographic piece, that particular shawl, they will come to know, okay, that's a head hunting shawl, might be of some particular Naga tribe, and there's a unique weaving pattern that is very unique, because that in when we do the demographic analysis of Nagaland Naga society, it's like that when these numbers of heads are taken, only then a headhunter can wear that particular type of textile, that particular type of shawl. So when those things are, those components are analyzed, then only the actual representation of a tribal society, or like a component or an object is justified. So when so I assume that all of those who are present today in this webinar, they have some interest in ethnography, or like they are doing some research or some work on ethnographic studies. So they have to come and they have to, come up with that perspective, that outlook, that display is only 10% and the 90% is the behind associated stories. How that, the conceptualization, and we have to think like that unique conceptualization. And when it's a display in a particular gallery or museum, we also have to justify the associated traditions. And I think Abira today is going to give some, because I know that they are undergoing some changes in the display and all. So that is my expectations from Abira, that she will tell us how they are, conceptualizing the ethnographic objects and everything in their particular gallery. And uh, when we speak about the ethnographic gallery of National Museum, because I was there when during my study time, so I have seen that particularly it's a very unique collection. And we can categorize in that there are broadly two categories, like two collections. One is the collection done by Dr. Verrier Alvin, and the second was the Sharanrani Bakliwal collection of musical instruments. When we speak about that Verrier collection, it has got a very interesting, that's my personal favorite, the Zamboli Athon. And so then apart from that, from Nagaland, they have some textiles both for male and female. And then also it has got some straw raincoats and everything. And then they have got some very unique jewelries from Assam. Then they have beautiful masks from Sikkim. And when we speak about the musical instrument gallery, instrument collection, and that is where I came to, I for the first time I saw the Rudra Veena. A very beautiful Rudra Veena is on display. That's from the Bakliwal collection. And I have read so much about this Rudra Veena, and that is where I first, for the first time of my life, came to see a Rudra Veena. How massive it is, how beautiful, how intricate is the work. Apart from that, it has different flute collection, then it has got string collections, and then percussion instruments, and including that ektara, dotara, bina, sarod, flutes, etc. And it was developed in between 87 to 89. And it's also it's a proud factor for Assam that Professor A.K. Das, Aswini Kumar Das, he was he was in National Museum, and right now he's a director of the Lal Bahadur Shastri Memorial Museum of New Delhi. He actually curated this and this very beautiful gallery. And I'm very much sure under the assistant curatorship of Abira, this is again come up with very vibrance and color. And today she will also speak, Abira will also speak how they have planned to engage the community, because that is a Northeast gallery and we Northeastern people are sitting here. So how she is managing the gap, and how she is going to link up everybody. Those are some personal questions that I have to Abida, and I think she will satisfy my questions and my needs. And with that all, I again welcome everybody, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak my mind out. Thank you, ma'am.
Avantika Parashar, for such an illuminating, and invigorating presentation. Okay. Uh, may I now request Dr. Prasanta Deka, General Secretary, Assam College Librarians Association, to speak a few lines.
Thank you, madam. Dr. Pal, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay. Good morning, and Honorable Principal, LCB College in Essentia, innovator of this national event, uh, Avanti Parashar, madam, District Museum Office, Jorhat, and business person of this national event, Avira Fakshaji, is Madam Department from Anthropology National Museum, New Delhi, and coordinator of webinar, Diba Borua Madam, and joint coordinator Dr. Indrani Chaudhuri and Dipankar Das, ICT convener SCLA Dr. Birendra Pal, all the respected members of the OKC and LCB College Research Unit, all respected faculty members of this college, the exhibitors, students, and participants from different corners of Assam as well as India. I welcome all of you to this wonderful webinar on this changing approaches to community engagement in museum and a contextual study of the anthropology collection of the National Museum. As all of we ever due to this pandemic situation, our normal life of the individual is completely changed. So the entire country is locked down and unlocked condition and with so many restrictions in COVID-19 situation and uncertainty and anxiety in our society are already a great loss. We are suffering great loss in the entire area. But this situation, all the one is a good sign is I have noticed that academic society are presently busy to lots of webinars with different kinds of topic. It is highly benefited for all of us. Anyway, let me take privilege to speak our uh, association. As a General Secretary of SCLA, the Assam College Librarian, I'm happy to share with you this is our 100 number webinar and I would like non-stop 100 number webinar and we are only one educational association all over India who has giving this tremendous contribution towards the education society non-stop. And I congratulate all the members of SCLA from this platform, and especially to Dr. Virendra Pal, ICT convener, my right hand of SCLA, and Professor Sanjay Singh, also head of the department, Guwahati University, and advisor of SCLA. And we are happy to inform you that we SCLA has decided to contribute this webinar series on March 16, and from March 16 to till date we are non-stop, not a sitting single day. Every day we organize 2 or 3 webinars, and basically our webinar series was the uh, awareness awareness program or e-teaching and e-learning towards the our education society. And basically we have giving emphasis of the awareness of emergency facilities like digital portals, Swayam Prabha and NDLA e-Pathshala, and special attention to Diksha and our Arugya Setu, which is recommended by our Health Minister of Government of India. So far, we have covered more than almost 200 colleges and 3 universities, and more than 27,000 academicians, including teachers, students, and research persons. And we are providing the technical support to the college and universities, college and other educational institutes also to organize different kind of webinar and training program also. I think this is one of the program of in this series. The material, anyway, coming to the today's topic, really it's a good topic. The materials in the anthropology collection and tips reflect thousands of year human experience, the creative expression, innovation, adaptation, language, cultural, and daily lives of people past and present. And I have visited lots of time of our national museum. Then the anthropological collection at the national museum consists about 800 objects. The collection built over the year to purchase gifts, various private donors, and some of the surveys conducted by officials of the department in the tribal belt and rural area. As Madam Parasar Madam already described, that these artifacts reflects the ritual and custom reflects of the life, economic pursuit, traditional areas, our Indian communities. There is, I think, I saw one that Northeast Lifestyle Gallery, despite the composite culture in the region. The display highlights the regional similarity in the cultural. Anyway, our resource person highly resource person is today about this topic, and hope resource person will be elaborate more things to this interesting topic. And I am taking more time. Let me finish here. Thank you LCB College for giving me this platform to speak something. Again, I welcome to all of these participants for to this webinar. Definitely participant will be benefited from this topic. And again, I congratulate all of you and over to Madam. Thank you, Madam. Yes, Madam.
Thank you, Dr. Prasanta Deka.
Thank you, Madam.
Now, oh, you're welcome. We are glad to announce that we have with us today Abira Bhattacharya as a resource person. Abira Bhattacharya is working as the assistant curator of the Department of Anthropology at National Museum, Delhi since 2016. She has curated many exhibitions on different themes, focusing on the indigenous arts of India, and has also worked as a co-curator in national and international projects as well. She has also conceptualized different interactive and demonstrative educational activities to promote community engagement awareness about the museum's ethnographic collection and in making the collection visible through virtual portals. She is also a doctoral scholar in the Department of Art History, National Museum Institute, Delhi. She has received travel grants for study tours from Polish Ministry of Culture, Poland, SOAS University of London, and Asia Research Institute, NUS Singapore, and she has also served as a part of Indian cultural delegation to Duanghua Academy, China, sponsored by the government of India. She has actively presented research papers and traveled widely in Southeast Asia as part of her research and documentation. Now, may I request Abira Bhattacharya to deliver your lecture.
Uh, Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, ma'am, for the introduction. And I would like to thank IQAC and LCB College Teachers Unit and Assam College Librarian Association for inviting me today. And special thanks to Diba ma'am and Indrani ma'am for giving me this opportunity to present my the current work which we are doing at National Museum in the anthropology section. As ma'am has said, like it's not been a very long time I am associated with the department. It's just like 2016 November I joined there. And since then, like we have been putting our efforts to make it more engaging, like the collection, and also to we have collaborated with various organizations to promote the collection, to make it more visible to the visitors. And like I have a small presentation which I would like to share. Just a minute for that. So to begin with, like a small introduction, like how many objects we have. So we have a large collection of more than 9,000 objects, like approximately 9,480 in our collection. And like it's a huge collection which has been like which has been done through acquisitions, through purchasing, and the expeditions which were done by Beryl Elwin, like the entire collection is purchased. And these are the important collections, like in context of Northeast, like Luthra collection, Beryl Elwin collection, and B.S. Guha collection. And so I have also mentioned there was an art purchasing committee, like in the recent past, like since I have joined, there are like, we are not much engaged in collecting new objects, and I would be telling you the reason for that. And so like before curating any exhibition, or I can say even like before we decide how to make the collection more engaging to the people, the first step is documentation and digitization. And that was the thing which we started with. So the collection was not digitized, and also the condition of the storage, I would say it was not very, like it was not well maintained. So it was a big task for us when we started with the collection management and also the storage reorganization. And like we have a very small team, including my senior, Mrs. Anju Sachdeva, and then we have like also research assistants. One of our research assistants, she's also watching the program, like Mridusmita, she's there. So she has helped us, like since 2017, she has helped us extensively in doing this work. So like you can see like these are the CAR, like this is for the musical instrument, and these were the photographs, like which were like the old technique of taking the photograph, and like it was pasted on a book, and a little bit of details were written there. So that was a big challenge because not much information was given, and then it required us to do a lot of research work, like to recognize these objects. And so even before we did the storage reorganization and the documentation, the first step was conservation. So we started with the conservation, and as you know, like more than 9,000 objects, like conserving them, even for surface cleaning, it takes a lot of time. And that has happened to us. Like I spent, especially 2017 to 19, especially in conservation, we segregated all those objects. Like we created a special place for the Beryl Elvin collection. It was all scattered. Then we created special place for the regional wise. Like earlier there were almirahs in which the collection was kept regional wise. Like there were some almirahs for Gujarat, for Rajasthan, but then not the entire collection was kept in that categorized way. So that was a task we started with. Like we thought like everything should be either we should categorize them in a regional manner, or we should categorize them according to the type of material. So we started with the musical instruments. Like that was the thing which like these objects are very fragile, and you can see the dimension of these objects was much bigger than the scroll paintings or any other objects. So we started with this, and you can see like we have a proper conservation lab, but then apart from the conservation lab, our conservators were like, they were very willing to help us within the storage also. So they were coming inside the storage, they were like doing the surface cleaning, they were a part of the documentation program. You can see our photographer, we created a separate space for photography within the storage, so that objects should not be moved to the separate area, and less movement of object will help us to keep it in a more safer way. So these were the initial steps. And now the digitization. So we know like we have a digitized, we have a proper digitization system called Jatan. The Visual Museum Builder steps of digitization there are like 4 levels. So operator level, curator level, director level, and the 4th level is when you can, like we as a commoner can see the objects in the public zone. So this was like the first step when we started making the collection more visible to the people, like by digitizing. So like any viewer situated to any part of the country or in the world can see our collection from their house, and he or she can read the descriptions. So that was like a very efficient step. And we also face challenges while doing that, because like we have different steps, and so before doing these steps we had to digitize everything, we had to conserve all the collection. So all these problems, they posed a lot of challenges. And you can see like anybody can go to this page, like the museumsofindia.gov.in, and you can see the collection. So the collection is like 7 museums are engaged within this program, in which National Museum is one of them, and you can browse each and every department. So every department has like on a regular basis these objects are getting uploaded, and these are visible to the people. And if you like, if anybody, any researcher or anyone needs images, so they can put a request to the museum, and museum provide these images for any kind of research work and publication. So like just a glimpse of the storage, like what kind of storage we had when I began. So this was the storage space for musical instrument. So like it was a mess, I can say. So the first objective of the storage reorganization was like to utilize the available equipments by not spending a lot of money on creating new shelves and racks. So what we did, like these shelves, like these kinds of shelves which were already there, we cleaned them, then we painted them with with disinfectants. We cleaned them, and then we also coated them so with some kind of disinfectant, so that there will be less susceptibility towards the parasite and all. And then we shifted all these racks and almirahs to, like, we reoriented them in a different space. And while reorientation, what we did, like, this is one of the space. We have a lot of space in the reserve storage. I won't say that there is lack of space, but the space was not fully utilized. That was the problem. So everything was kept, like, either some things were, like, because of their bigger dimension, they were kept on the floor. Like, some stuff was just, they were not packed properly. So that was the first task we started with. So we started with the storage reorganization of the musical instruments, and now the space which you are seeing, like this musical storage space, now the musical storage space has been shifted to another space, and this space is specially allocated for the Verrill Elwin collection, because the Verrill Elwin collection is very important. People, like, all over the world, researchers, they come and then they want to see the collection. So it was very important for us to segregate the collection according to the type of material. So Mridusmita, she helped us a lot. And like what we did, we made a list, and then we made a, like, all these lists, they were not only they were not only pasted on the almirah, but then they are all digitized, like proper Excel spreadsheets we created with the images, with the description, and with the location. So we are not maintaining, like, we are in a process of creating a location card, but that was the first step. And like, to reach this level of making a location, it took us 3 years, which is not an easy task, I can say. So you can see there was like dust, dirt, and then the packaging was not done properly, and like the before and after. So the after section, like all these racks which were existing, they have been kept properly. We have used this kind of foam to reinforce the object, like these are musical instrument, because the goud is unstable. Like all these fragile pieces were reinforced. And also we can see there is one equipment, so to control, especially these equipments were placed to control the humidity and to control the temperature. And in this area, in this specific area, we have kept the musical instruments. We have kept the wooden objects, especially the wooden sculptures from Nagaland, and also the wooden sculptures from Muria and Bega tribes. So earlier, like, we had 3 galleries. One is like the tribal lifestyle of Northeast India, which is still existing. We had tradition, art and continuity inside the museum, and then musical instruments gallery. So the second gallery is now going to shift in the Red Fort area. We have been allocated a special, like a barrack, a big space, so that we can accommodate more than 500 to 600 objects. Earlier, the tradition and art continuity gallery was consisting only 300 objects. So this second gallery gives us a glimpse of the tangible and intangible cultural heritage of throughout the India. And like, it was consisting of scrolls, masks, utilitarian objects, then terracottas. So all type of objects were combined. And the conceptual, like these, like, once new space was allocated, so we are working on it, and soon, like I think within 6 or 7 months, we will be able to put that installation there in Red Fort. So in that space, we are going to, the concept is to categorize the objects according to the oral tradition. Then we have ritualistic objects, and then utilitarian objects. Within these big 3 themes, we are going to subclassify the objects according to their tribes, according to their ritualistic significance, according to their metaphoric essence. And in the first gallery, the Tribal Lifestyle Northeast Gallery, this is like the first thing, like before the COVID crisis, we were working on it. We started working on this gallery since December. Before that, the first, like as I have said, like most of the time, like since 2017, we have spent on the storage, reorganization, and conservation, because I think that is the first step. If we want to put up a new show, if we want to understand and increase the visibility of the objects, we should be conserving them, and we should be showcasing them in their best condition. So once we were done with this whole process, we started conceptualizing new themes, and also I will show you some examples. But then the COVID crisis happened, and then the work gets stalled. But then still we are working on it, and soon when everything will be back to normal, we will be able to install the new things. And the third gallery, as Abantika has said, like this is the musical instruments gallery dedicated to Sharan Rani Bakliwal collection. And also we have some objects, like some musical instruments, which are not a part of her collection, but we have added some of the musical instruments to reinforce the theme. So just a glimpse of the old gallery. And as Abantika has said, like this is the gallery, the old gallery. So like in the beginning, what we did, like there was less scope of structural changes. So as we know, these shelves and showcases, they are not movable. So there was no scope of making structural changes into it. But then still we employed certain techniques in which we can add on some kind of elements, so that we can create a better visual experience for the people. And that's what we did. Like these are the old pictures, but if you visit the gallery after this crisis, you will see like our ADG sir, our display department, they have done a lot of work in putting LED lights. So as I'm saying, even before curation, before community engagement, before bringing people, like bringing museum to the home, the first thing is to conserve. So the objects which were on display, they were getting deteriorated because of high light. As you can see, there are lights inside the showcase. Some of the showcases have interior lights and also exterior light. So what we did, we have removed all the exterior light in the gallery. All these lights have been removed, and now we have placed lights inside the showcase, and all of them are LED. So, and the lux is also controlled, so that we can control the light. And also these objects are less susceptible to fading, because these are textiles. I have seen, like, this gallery was set up a long ago, and then when I joined, and so when I started digitizing these objects, we had to remove these textiles from the dummy. And while removing these textiles, we all know these were old techniques of doing the work, and that must be the best way to showcase these objects in that era. But now we have better ways to and we have better conservation methods. So we have noticed, like, many of these objects got faded. And also there are problems with the conceptualization, because many people, they have complained that these dummies, they are not representing a single tribe. Like many tribal like elements of different tribal spaces from Nagaland only have been combined in one dummy. So we have also got like we did Mridu Smita, she did a visitor analysis also while doing her masters, and that was really helpful for us to understand, like, what people think, because the museum is meant for the people, and we need to understand what they want from us. We cannot place it according to what we want. So what we did, like, firstly we digitized them, and then, like, recently we started with the process of reconceptualizing, in which we also, like, as Abantika has said, I don't have the picture of that side, but then there is a totem pole, Jambulia Thang. So just behind the Jambulia Thang, there is one exit gate. So we also conceptualized, like, we should open 2 gates within the gallery, which is not only good in manner of like increasing the visitor movement within the gallery, but it is also good for the disaster management view of point. Because if, like, God forbid, if something happens, like, we should be having 2 entry and exit points, so that for the flow of the people. So we have conceptualized, like, we will open that space, and the entry point will be the Jambulia Thang. Once you enter the space, this gallery, you will first encounter the Jambulia Thang, and then we have started, like, this whole gallery is divided into 2 spaces. We have started on working on this area right now. We have changed at least 3 showcases on that area, and, like, we have yet to do this area. And then so community engagement in the digital way, like what we are doing, like during the COVID. So we have like National Museum has collaborated with Hop on India. This is the app which will be available. Like Hop on India has right now we have the sculpture gallery which is visible for people, but soon we are going to launch the Northeast Gallery. So we have prepared a script of 30 objects from the Northeast, like the 30 masterpieces you can see from the Northeast Gallery. And this script will be available along with the images in the Hop on India app, which you can get through here. And just a second. Yeah, this is the National Museum Sculpture Gallery, which is available, and soon the Northeast Gallery will be also available. So this is our initiative, even during the COVID, to make the gallery accessible to people. And also, if you visit the National Museum website, you will be able to see, like, we are having workshops, various workshops, like and interactive sessions. And also we have 360 view of the gallery, the new gallery, like the new installations which we have done before the COVID in December to like March beginning. You can visit the website and see the 360 view. So these are the new initiatives which we have taken. And yeah, so I was telling you about the new installations. So these are the new installations. Like in the first showcase, we have tried to we have tried to showcase the wooden art of Nagaland and the youth dormitory, and then we have also placed the morong and the log drum in front of it. So the placement of these miniature model of the log drum and the morong was kept in a different space, but now we have got these new showcases. These new showcases also, they have inbuilt LED, and we have got like at least 6 of them new showcases, like which are installed within the space, which like you will be able to see once the gallery is prepared. So we started with this, and the concept while we were doing this installation was the coexistence of all, like in which, like that was my concept while doing this display, because in this we can see elements from nature, elements from like human representation. So anthropomorphic and zoomorphic elements have been combined in this showcase, and that was like a theme, which like a conceptual theme which we devised. And then we have also prepared, like we have numbered them, we have also prepared separate write-ups for each and every object which has been prepared. And we are just like, because we have very less space for putting up the write-ups, so we are trying to devise some method so that even like whether QR code or a digital panel through which we can showcase the write-ups to the people, because these write-ups are extensive. And the other showcase which we had done is the basketry. So before there were like different displays. These are the new displays which we have done. And also a lot of research is done on this, like on this rice tray from the Khamti, and then we have this from the Karbi district, and also the fellow colleagues, they have helped us, like Costa, he is associated with the he's from the District Museum Assam, he also helped us. So we always try to ask like people, like the community people, like within our domain also, and also like the elders, like through, like these days in COVID, we are unable to engage them physically. But then while we were doing the script for the hop on, like we called people like from Nagaland, from Mizoram, from Manipur, just to understand the pronunciation of these words, and then to understand the meaning of their textile, because much of the information is available in the books, but the available which is there existing in their society, which is there with the elders, is much important than the bookish knowledge. So we are trying to engage the people, and but still we are at a very nascent stage, I would say. I won't say like we are very much successful in that, but yeah, we are still doing it. So Mridusmita did this visitor survey for the Northeast Tribal Art Gallery, and she had used the methodology like in which observation, questionnaire, survey, and track study, and there were 150 visitors who were a part of this. So these are the results which have been helpful in knowing like what people think about the gallery. And this survey was done in 2017, because that time we didn't start with the conceptualization. We were like doing with the storage reorg and all these work. But then in 2017-18, still we did this so that to understand like what should be the new gallery, what it should look like. And then people, they commented on the display area, and then they had commented on the label. Like even I understand the label are they don't provide much information, which they should be doing. So we, as I've said, like we are trying to bring like digital methods, either QR or digital panels, so that people they can engage with the, like we can put some videos, we can put some archival photos, so that people can understand. Like as Abantika has said, like there is a Naga shawl, like there is this a warrior shawl, but then people don't understand, like, and many of them, they don't want to read so much of text. So we need to engage them through videos, through documentaries, and also through images, because visual expression is the best way to express any kind of idea, which I think, and because me as a student of art history, as like a researcher, I think we should be looking at these objects not from an art historic, not only from an anthropological viewpoint, but we should be involving art historical view as well, to make these objects more interactive. And then we have audio guide. We already have an audio guide, but then we have to update that audio guide as well, because that audio guide focuses only few objects, but then we need to work on this. So this is the musical instrument gallery. This was set in 2011 only. And also, again, this gallery has lack of information. So in the Hop-on app, the first initiative which we have taken, 30 objects from the musical instrument gallery and 30 objects from the Northeast gallery will be available for the narration will be available for public. If you download the app, you can have a glimpse of it, and you can know about the stories and narration. So these are the curated walks, which I did it initially, like after I had joined, like with the students of various age groups. And that was like, this has been a great learning experience for me also, like how to to understand what people think. And then we had like we also introduced the students with the storage. So this is the interior of the storage, because museum is like, people should also know like what are the challenges which we are facing while we are curating a show. Because from exterior viewpoint, it is very easy to comment and criticize, like this should be done in that way. But then when they get to know what are the problems, like what are the problems we are facing in the storage, conservation, and because of the composite nature of these objects, then they understand. And then they also give very important viewpoints, which helps us to recreate and reconceptualize the themes. So to begin with, like as I'm going to talk about, like I have given a overview and about the collection, and also the community engagement, like how in the past 3 years, we engaged the community. I won't say like we have started working on the Northeast, like with the Hop On thing is the first initiative, and then we have working on the gallery, but still we need to focus on the community engagement in the Northeast zone. And also in the Northeast gallery, I would say like what we are going to do, like there are lacunas because we don't have a lot of collection from Assam, then we don't have a lot of collection from Mizoram, like, and then the collection is mostly from Nagaland, which I have observed. And so we need to fill up those lacunas. Now, either we can fill up them by taking up objects like from through the acquisition, which is a very difficult method, but then we can fill up those lacunas through videos, and we can like what I am planning to do, like we are not going to focus only on the tribes, but on the artistic forms. And that's what I have done. Like we have focused on the wooden art, which I showed, like the wooden art of Nagaland. We have focused on the basketry. So we will focus on the key artistic specimens, like the textiles. When we talk about textile, we will take the masterpieces, like the 15 masterpieces from various places. And we are going to remove the dummy, like the placement of the dummies, because there is a lot of problem with the placement. People come up saying that this is not our upper garment, this is the lower garment. And then every person being like, since they are the community people, we have to be very sensitive towards their sentiments regarding their community, regarding their culture. And like we should be trying our best to showcase it in a proper way. So that's like an approach, like by removing the dummies, we will cut down the possibilities of doing any kind of mistake while doing an upper garment and lower garment. And we would be focusing especially on the textile as a piece of art. So my focus, like my approach is that, my personal approach is like creating a story behind every object. So these objects, like, as I say, these objects are not only props for the display, but these objects also, they carry a lot of internal meanings and stories, and also stories of the wearer, like the person who wore it in his or her lifetime. And then there are social customs, ceremonies which are involved in it. So we need to recreate those themes through different ways. And that is what we started with in 2017. That was like an initial step when we got an opportunity to have an exhibition, a reserve exhibition, and in which we were given a chance to showcase very minimal objects, like 13 objects from the reserve collection. And it is important to note, like in the National Museum, only 3%, not even 3% of the collection, the entire collection is on display, and more like the remaining collection is in the storage. So this was a very good practice like evolved by the ministry, in which we were putting the objects in exhibition from the storage, and people will get to see them. So the first storage exhibition which our department did was the Putul exhibition on dolls. And we chose like only 13 objects, in which dolls of West Bengal. And then it was like an experimental study for us, in which we collaborated with one of the organization, Bangla.com, because we also engaged the craftsmen, the master craftsmen who are UNESCO recognized. We called them, and then they did demonstrative activities as well. So in the gallery, this is a very small space which was created. We had these photographs, like how these dolls are made, like the Shola dolls, the terracotta dolls, the wooden dolls of Natungram, and then description also was given, and the photographs were also given. And then we also placed a display unit in which the interviews by different craftsmen was showcased, and also the technique was showcased, and a map, so that people can understand, like, okay, this is Natungram, but where Natungram is situated, because a commoner might not know. So like these are the simple techniques which were used. And then This is an installation photograph where our team was installing the exhibition, and then we had placed it for like 15 days, but then we got a very good response while this exhibition was done. And then we also took care of the humidity control and the safety of the objects. So these are the photographs in which we engage the people. Like these are the two eminent artists. He's the Shola artist and he is from Natungram district. And then this was done by collaboration with Bangladesh, in which they came, and then this was a walk-in. So this program was done with along with the education department. People came, and this was for the first time, like from the anthropology department, which we did. So people of various age groups, they came, they created these dolls. Like some were so interested that they came for all 3 days. Like this was done for 3 days, and then they came, they sat down for the whole day. They created these dolls and or these Shola objects, and then they took them back home as souvenirs of this workshop. And you can see like how like these dolls were made by the people, and like these are the raw materials which were brought by the artists. So this was fully funded by the National Museum, where National Museum paid for their hospitality, for their travel, everything. And people got a chance to understand, like, because, and then they had a coordinator also, because there were language barriers. So the coordinator was helping them to translate it into Hindi. And then people got a chance for the first time to see like how these objects are made and why these objects are important, whether they have some kind of ritualistic significance, or they were just dolls for playing. So these were the things. And then people, like you can see, people of various age groups, they came and then they did the workshop. And then the second exhibition of this whole series was done in 2018. So in 2017, we did the Putul exhibition. In 2018, we expanded our view, and then we did this Uncrowned Glory, an exhibition of the ethnic ornaments from Himachal. So this was a bigger exhibition because we now selected 70 objects, and then all these objects, like as I have said, like during, like because of the storage reorganization only, we could recognize that we have such a good collection of Himachali ornaments. And before that, these ornaments, they were just stocked and piled in a tray, and we had no idea why they are so important. But then this has helped us a lot. So we had a better space for showcasing. This exhibition continued for 5 months. And also this was the time when we did community engagement in its fullest. So we had conceptualized this according to the ornaments, neck ornaments. Then we had other types of jewelry. We also lended some jewelry pieces from the jewelry department of National Museum only, and the assistant curator, and they were really helpful in that. So we also did inter-department collaboration while doing this. So we got better showcases. Like in the previous one, those showcases were created, those small showcases were created for the exhibition. But now these are the better showcases with better equipments. And then we all this was the time when I was fully involved in the designing. I was fully involved in the designing of the gallery, and also the placement of these objects. So apart from that, one more important thing which we introduced, like we had these photographs, like these archival photographs from Sunil Jana's collection. And these photographs were just kept inside a tray in a very bad and deteriorated state. But then what we did, like we digitized most of them. We firstly, there were more than 500 photographs. So out of 500 photographs, we selected 20 of them pertaining to the object. So if we see this kind of har or this kind of waist belt, we tried looking at this kind of har is worn by this lady, and we had this tomchuk. So we tried to correlate the objects which are worn by the Gaddi tribe people or the different tribal people of Himachal, and we trying to correlate with them the object which is there in the museum. So this was a wall specially dedicated to these photographs, and we had a Chamba Rumal in the center from the decorative arts department. And for each photograph, we also provided a description. So for each photograph, any person, any visitor can come and he or she can read the description about the tribe, about the kind of ornament and the composition of the ornament. So this was a very unique step in which we did. And now the community engagement. So since we were doing this jewelry exhibition, it was important to showcase like when these jewelry pieces are worn and how they are worn by the people. So that's what we did. Like we had collaborated with a Live North organization from Kullu, and Rahul Bhushan, he is the founder of that organization. Like we collaborated with them, and he was kind enough to bring the people, like the artists, the dancers, and also the craftsmen from Himachal. Like there were people who were coming, most of the people who were coming to Delhi for the first time. And then they were literally, they were so curious to visit National Museum. They were so curious to see India Gate because they had seen those things only in photographs or in movies. So that's what we did, like bringing the people from their villages to the core of the city in the museum and letting them perform in their own way. So we recreated this Kullu Dashera festival in which these artists, they performed. They also they brought this palanquin, and then the moharas were displayed, and then most importantly, they recreated all the rituals. Like we went to the market, we got these garlands to recreate this whole palanquin. They did a procession. They started the procession from the rotunda. Then they managed to take it out inside, like outside the auditorium. And this was a very engaging experience when people, like visitors, like the National Museum Institute students, even the staff member, they came, they joined hands, and then they danced on their beats. So apart from that, even people can see the kind of jewelry, because the jewelry which was kept in the exhibition, these jewelry were worn by the people also, by these artists. So it was like one of the most successful programs which we had done, like in my tenure of 2 years that time. And this was the inaugural function. So this program was done on the occasion of National Unity Day. And we chose as a day to inaugurate this function. And this like more than 25 people, they came for this, like artists, they came from Kullu district. Then apart from that, we had workshop, like we had a series of workshop, like we had this, then we had a jewelry making workshop in which like we had a coordinator, he conducted these little workshops to create how, like recreating these jewelry pieces through the medium of clay. So clay, like we also booked school students, like we called school students, and then groups were made so that these people, and also walk-in, like through Google form, people came from walk-in, they came and then they recreated these small pieces of jewelry, they painted them. They also tried to make different designs, like not following the conventional one, but recreated their own designs. And like these are the school students which we had. These are the groups, like also few of my friends, they also came. Like it was not only meant for school students, but people for all age groups. And then in 2019, like in that Kullu Dashera workshop, we also called, like I don't have the photograph right now, but we also called artisans making moharas and artisans who were engaged in textile making. So the textile making using the takli, and then the loom was brought, and also mohara was made, and people were making a similar kind of moharas taking these images at home. So in 2019, we did this Pato Parivesh exhibition along with Banglatok.com again, and this was on the occasion of Earth Day, in which what we did, now again we were bringing the artists, but now in a different manner. So artists were not only doing a demonstrative workshop only, but then we showcased the artists' work inside the museum gallery. So we had this exhibition in the special exhibition hall, in which half of the gallery was dedicated to the objects of National Museum, and half of the gallery was dedicated to the contemporary artists. So these are the objects, these objects are from the, these are the Santhal putts, and these are the Pat Chitras from Bengal, and the other picture is the contemporary putt. So how these contemporary artists, they are re-looking at the themes, and then they are recreating these themes in a very distinct manner. They are they are working on tsunami, they are working on earthquakes. I'm very sure they must be working on COVID crisis as well. So now they are not only focusing on the Mansa Mangal or the Durga Path, but now they are also looking at different socio-cultural aspects which are happening in their surroundings. And then one of why we chose them for the Earth Day, because still these artists are using earth colors, and then the kind of technique which they had used, closer to nature and renewable sources, they are still focusing on that. They are not getting diverted by either they are not using acrylics or any kind of plastic paints, but they are making these colors from the nature, and then they are recreating these artworks. So this was very interesting for us, and then we also tried to showcase this aspect to the people, that still we have a lot of scope in usage and judicious usage of renewable sources. So this is the installation where we were put, these are the objects from the National Museum. So in that concept also, along with the Patchitras, I included these Lakshmi Saras, I included these small terracotta figurines, and also Kantha, not to because we wanted to make it more engaging, so that people should know the kind of motifs which are seen on the Patchitras, they were also utilized in various mediums, whether it was a terracotta, whether it was Kantha. It was not only delimited to that, because art is always it is always permeable. It is not only concentrated on a single object. So this was a huge space in which we utilized the space by it was not utilized by both the organizations. And so along with that, because these Patchitras, they have a rich oral tradition, and if we just segregate the oral tradition from the object, then we don't do much justice to the object. So then we called these artists, and then they were there for 3 to 4 days. They were singing the pattas. They were telling the people, they were always there in the gallery. They were telling the people about the stories, because the stories are very much different from the mainstream text. And then they had their own indigenous elements as well. And then also we called schools, in which the schools participated, and then they demonstrated how these Patchitras are made. The students, they were much enthusiastic, and then they also made their own paintings. And these are the artists. So this is one of the artists, this is the Santhal artist, and then the Santhal art is diminishing, and we have a very good collection of these Santhal paintings from the Viral Elvin collection, and those paintings were in a very deteriorated state. So we conserved them all, we have at least 50 paintings, and for conservation of one painting, it took it generally takes us more than 4 months. So you can imagine, still we are in the process. I won't say we are done with the entire work, but every time we keep on checking the objects, even if we find little bit of deterioration, we just send them to the lab, and then the lab, the conservators, they do their best to conserve these objects and bring them back in a stabilized state. So the artists, they were singing the scrolls, and then we tried to focus on the tangible, intangible aspect as well. And then like the artists, they also enjoyed, because again, these artists, they were coming to Delhi for the first time, and then this was a good experience for them. And this is how we were successful in, like, these are like very little steps which we did in engaging with the community, and though they were like the successful steps. And then like you can see, these kids, they were more than happy to do these works. And then because it was all earth color, like we provided them the colors, like you can see in this photograph, like they still use the coconut shells to they don't use conventional plastic trays and all, but they use these coconut shells to mix the colors. And then most of the colors are color compounds are derived from stones and different kinds of leaves and all. So we provided brushes, we provided the material to the students. So again, this was fully sponsored by National Museum, and this was the way we were doing it. And apart from that, like we also had a very small exhibition, a single object exhibition on Mahatma Gandhi, and we placed a charkha there, but still we were trying to make it engaging. So like a very small initiative was like we helped the people, like they can make their own bookmark. So we created these stamps, and we had kept those paper slips in which people can come and then they can create their own book stamps with motifs of Mahatma Gandhi, and then they can take it back home. So this was my presentation on like how we are working on it. And apart from that, like focusing, if we focus on the Northeast Gallery, as I've said, like we have a lot of scope in working on that, because we have these objects like masks, which are documented in the Veeral Elvin documentation as well. But then again, less information is available. So we are still in the process in which we are trying to engage community workers. Like we were in a process in collaborating one of the groups in Nagaland, in which we were thinking of calling the artists to perform their dance, and then also to have an exhibition on jewelry making. So like we have to take these steps very judiciously and very cautiously, so that we can engage the people in the best manner, and also we can help them to understand the various aspects of the museum. So thank you so much for listening to me, and I would be really grateful if I get some more suggestions how I can do a betterment in our section. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Avira Bhattacharya ma'am. Really, ma'am, it's a very wonderful presentation, and I have really enjoyed. I'm also from library science background, and most of the things are also related with us. And thank you very much, ma'am, because this is kind of things we should give much importance to the preservation of all our indigenous resources. Thank you very much. And now I'd like to invite Dr. Diva Barua ma'am, the coordinator of IQAC LCB College, to initiate the question hour session, ma'am. Ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Thank you, Abira, for such a wonderful lecture. You know, and so many adjectives, you know, have poured in, you know, praising your lecture: engaging session, informative, comprehensive, engrossing, useful, and lots of many more adjectives. Okay, there are a few questions, you know, from the participants.
Ma'am,
And
switch on your video, ma'am, first. Yes, ma'am.
Acha, there are a few questions from the participants. So the first question that I would like to put forward is there any provision of digital platform to access the different important works of the National Museum?
Yeah, like in the presentation, I said like we have this Jatan. So if you go to National Museum website, at the top there is one tab in which there is this NM collection tab. So you click on it, and then we go to a page of National Repository where you can access the collection, which we have digitized on Jatan, and the National Museum collection is available on that department wise. And also, as I said, like we have this hop on program. We have started initially with the sculpture gallery. Soon we will be launching the same for the Northeast gallery, and also for the musical instruments gallery. So it's Hop on India. If you download that, you can have a look at that.
Okay, thank you. The next question is how much useful is for students? Perhaps he means, how much useful is museum for students, and what preventive measures have been taken, and what is our responsibility?
So yeah, what we did, like in the museum, we have these internship programs, and also we have these summer workshops done by the education department. So since past 3 years, we have been very welcoming towards the students, like students of very young age. In the playtime activity session, they are coming from third, like class 3 to 12th. They are coming to the museum. They are learning about the objects. Like in one of the photograph I showed you, like they have been taken to the store also, and then we engage them with the conservators, with the curators, with the store, so that students can understand like how the museum function and what are the challenges which we are facing. Apart from that, we have internship program in which graduation students, undergrad students, they are coming, and then they are working with us in the department. They are getting an access to the collection. So now they are getting a first-hand experience in which they can touch the collection. They can know how get to know how to digitize an object, how to document an object, and then they are fully they are actively working with it. So these are the measures which we are taking in helping the students also to engage with the museum.
The next question is almost similar. Like, again, this must be from a student. Like the participant wants to know what are the opportunities available for students in this sector?
I would say like, I won't say the opportunities are very wide, because like the whole concept of museum and like conserving objects is still like we are developing. Like in India is in a very developmental stage, and we have to reach at the, like we are working on it to reach at the norms like in the Western society, because the museums in India, they are more like centralized. They are handled by the government. They are not handled by any autonomous bodies, but there are there are new museums which are coming up in which they are handled by small organizations. Like there are private owners. They are coming up with museums with their own collection. So this whole field requires a lot of dedication, and I would say a lot of patience, because like we need to keep on working, and then there are challenges which we face on, like we have to consistently work and consistently put our efforts to make it work in a better way. As I said, like it took me 3 years just for storage reorganization, and after 3 years we started with the conceptualization. Because if we directly jump into conceptualization, if you directly see, okay, we are doing to do a community engagement, that cannot happen. We first need to understand what collection we have, and the collection is a big collection of 9,500 objects. So to see, understand, to conserve it took me 3 years, and that is the way like we need to work on it. And these are the small steps which we need to take.
Okay, then there's another question related to manuscripts. What measures have been taken to protect old manuscripts?
Yes, so we have a separate department for manuscripts, and as the conservation is going on for our department, even again manuscripts and painting both are the objects which are very much fragile because of their fragile material composition. So the conservation lab is working hard on it, like they have been associated with the conservation of the manuscripts. And again, I said, like, if a painting, a scroll can take 4 or 5 months, a manuscript is also taking around more than a month to like only one leaf of only one, like conservation of only one leaf. And there are so many leaves, like more than 300, 600 leaves in one book. So it's a long process, and we need to engage more people. Like Intac is helping us with the disaster management plan. So like we need to open up to like, and we are working on it. Like our ADG sir, our seniors, they are working on it, engaging new people, new organization in helping the National Museum to become more accessible in every way.
Okay, thank you, Abira. Dr. Birepal, is there time for more questions?
Yes, ma'am, we can take 1 or 2 questions because this is very interesting topic actually.
Yes. There's a question. How do you think digital library could be more accessible for the specially able people? Also, do you think crowdfunding is feasible for Indian museums?
Yeah, so I would like to add, like we have the Anubhav Gallery, the first of its kind, which is created by the education department for the specially abled people, in which the Anubhav Gallery showcases 10 to 11 objects from, like they have selected masterpieces from every department, and those are the tactile objects. So people can come and then they can have a feel. We have a braille script also. So we are trying to make the people accessible to all. Like we have a ramp, we have a new ramp made so that which is accessible for people having like who are using wheelchair. And then we have got new wheelchairs as well. So like these are the methods which we are engaging. And now we have tactile path as well. Like in small places, we are trying to make like a friendly space for specially abled kids and for specially abled people in each and every gallery. So that has to be done. But right now in the ground floor we have this. And yeah, crowdfunding, like that's more like a question related to administration section. I won't be able to comment on that. Like my job is more like a curatorial one.
So I have a very common question, like how can we make museums, popular among people? Like museums are very popular in the West.
Yes, ma'am.
But in India, like, I mean, the local people hardly visit museums.
Yes.
So how can we, popularize museum among, the common people?
Yes, ma'am. So that's what like we are trying to do. Like because as you have said, like even most of my friends, like my close friends, they haven't been to the museum, and then they feel very like they are very curious to know like what kind of work I do. So I can understand this is a very common problem which we are facing in the West. Museum is like an entertainment zone. It is more like a universal studio. People go there within the weekends. They spend their weekend there. They have different kind of functions which are going on. But then we need to create a breakthrough from the conventional manner where a museum object is only kept in a showcase, because that creates a very boring and dull environment for the people. So for this, we are having these workshops. Now we are also having these performing art things, so that these dramas, so that people can come. And museum, like during the COVID crisis, this is also a very good time when we can work on the curation. We can work actively on making structural changes within the museum, because the museum is completely shut for the people. So we are trying to utilize the time, and digital manner, like digital way is one of the best way, like the hop on thing, which we have started working on. So through digital media, National Museum is trying to reach to the people on a larger scale. Like firstly, this Jatan thing, like the national repository, and secondly on Hopon, and also our social media handles, on which like we had NM Curator program. So we started with the NM Curator, in which even I contributed. I talked about the archaeological objects, since it was related to my PhD thesis. And then we had a talk by the jewelry section. So apart from that, these small workshops, these NM live sessions, they have received a very good like output and very good response. We had museum in 9 minutes, in which the bronze gallery was shown in 9 minutes only, and that specific video got more than 50K views. So now, like within the COVID period, like I know this is a crisis, this is a tough time for us, but we have learned the importance of digital media. And also, like, this is the way we are doing this webinar, like me interacting from Delhi, and you all are from different areas. So this has been a good learning experience as well for us.
So there is another short question related to copyright. Like, are there any copyright issues for digitization of manuscripts?
Yeah, there is copyright for everything. Like if anybody wants to get a photograph on an object, then they have to fill a form given in the National Museum website, and then they have to write the details, and then National Museum will give you the photograph on payment of a sum of amount. So these objects cannot be copy pasted without the permission of National Museum from the Jatan website. This is there.
Okay. Dr. Birendra Pal, can we take one more question?
Yes, ma'am, you can take last one.
Acha, like here the question is that Natural History Museum, New Delhi, National Museum of Brazil, fire burnt huge collections, Narmada Valley fossils, Lusia women, etc. were burned. These aren't just fossils. These are all the traces of mankind for millenniums. To avoid such kind of events, what can be done, and who should take responsibility for such events?
Yes, so I initially started my talk with the same thing only, how we are working on the disaster management plan. As you have seen, like while I was showing you pictures of the store, so the store the components are basically wood, which are susceptible, like all combustible substances. So we are trying to engage different companies in creating storage showcases which are fire resistant. And also we are working with Intech on a disaster management plan. And also, like as a part of it, they did a survey of the entire collection, in which they rated the kind of threats, which like the human threat or fire threat or earthquake threat, every kind of natural or man-made calamity. They created a spreadsheet for all the objects of National Museum. They are working on it. We had like 2 or 3 workshops in which we all participated, and then they told us about what are the measures which we can do. And also inside the gallery, as I was saying, there's only one entry point at the present in the Northeast Gallery. And the Northeast Gallery is also connecting to the musical instrument gallery. And then we have one more gallery for wooden structure. So there is only one exit. So now we are trying to open 2 exits, so that at the time of emergency, people can they can use both the exits, and we can also avoid the idea of crowding. And now after the COVID, once the museum open, we have to look at the aspect of distancing as well. So we need to keep that also in mind. So these are like, we are working on the plan, and soon we will be up with a very constructive methodology for that.
Oh, thank you so much. There are some more questions, but I think you have answered those questions. So I won't, take up the questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Over to Dr. Birendra Pal.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Diba Barua, ma'am, the coordinator of IQAC from LCB College. Really, ma'am, it's a very wonderful question hours that has been conducted by your end. And a special thanks to, again, Avira Bhattacharya, ma'am, for conducting this important program, because this is too much important for our society, because our museums, our libraries, they need some special attraction from our public people also. So thank you very much. And now we are, yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So we are now coming to the last part of this program, and that is the vote of thanks that will be delivered by Dr. Indrani Chaudhary, madam. Ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Yes, yeah. Vote of thanks. Namaste. I consider it is a great privilege to purpose of a vote of thanks to all dignitaries who have witnessed it as a memorable and successful event. First of all, I would like to thank our principal, Dr. Edison Ali sir, for his active support. Otherwise, this event would not have been fruitful one. I especially thanks to Dr. Diba Barua ma'am, coordinator IQAC LCB College, for her active participation from beginning to end. Today, my regards, my words are not enough to express the gratitude. On behalf of our college, LCB, I would like to thank our resource person, Avira Bhattacharya, for her thought-provoking lecture. I would like to thank once again to Abantika Parasar, District Officer Jorhat, for her brief introductory remark. Most of all, I would like to thank Mr. Dibakar Das, LCB College. And again, I would like to thank to ACLA, ACLA, for sharing their platform and facilitating with interesting webinar. Last but not least, I would like to thank all our learned scholars, professors, academic students from different parts of our country and world. I thank all of them for sharing interesting in this program. Once again, thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, and it's also thanks to Dr. Indrani Chaudhary, ma'am, also, because you also deserve a special thanks, ma'am, for working hard for this program. Thank you, ma'am. And thanks to again Dr. Diba Barua, ma'am, Avantika Parasar, ma'am, and Avira Bhattacharya, ma'am, for giving your valuable time for this program, ma'am. Thank you very much. And thanks to all the participants who are right now in this platform and also on the Facebook also. This program is live on Facebook. Lots of viewers are there on the Facebook. So thanks to all the viewers also. And special thanks to all the teaching and non-teaching fraternity from the LCB College. Special thanks to the Honorable Principal of LCB College. And with this, we are coming to the end of this program. And I will unmute everybody for 20 seconds and directly I'll conclude this program.
Thank you.
So I request the participants, please switch on your video and come closer to the screen so that we can take together a screenshot of the photo. I request all the participants, please switch on your screen and come closer to the screen, switch on your video so that we can take a image photo together. Yes, thank you for your cooperations. Just a second, I just click it, I'll just save it. So thank you very much. Thank you again, and meet you again on some another day with some new topic. Stay safe, stay secure, and have a nice time ahead. Thank you very much. And as a host, I declare this meeting as end.